Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are covering a 2022 NFL mock draft. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future NFL mock draft content. Now, with the first overall pick, as we jump into it, it's Jacksonville, and Jacksonville offers a really interesting situation, considering that they're looking at that tackle spot. I actually think they're going to go Kayvon Thibodeaux from Oregon, and kind of looking at what he offers in terms of upside. He's a terrific athlete, very productive in his college career in the snaps that he did play. There's a lot to love about his overall game. There's somewhat of a character issue thing, we've been hearing in NFL draft circles. However, I don't know if that's going to deter him from being the number one pick. Jacksonville in that front seven definitely needs to get better. There's no question about that. Josh Allen is a phenomenal edge himself, and I think bringing in Kayvon Thibodeaux would be huge, and they would be a dynamic pass rushing duo for many, many years to come. So you could get excited about that if you are a Jacksonville fan. Now at number 2, we have the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions, this has been a pretty consistent one for me. They want to be tougher up front. They want to be a team that can get after the quarterback. That's what Aidan Hutchinson provides. Super productive career at Michigan. The one concern I have about him is, his arm length. I think that is going to be something that's viewed as a big negative in his draft profile. I'm considering, I think he's in the 8th percentile in terms of arm length as a whole. So that's something that will be kind of hindering his draft stock a little bit. That's why I ended up going Thibodeaux over him. And just kind of looking athletically, he's not as dynamic of an athlete, but he's more polished as an overall prospect than Kayvon. So those are kind of the pros, cons of both players. And Aidan Hutchinson's a terrific edge rusher in his own right. I think Detroit is going to be getting so much better up front. They need to add some more pass rushing, and it's a really good get for them. I think Detroit Lions fans should be hoping that this is the outcome of the actual NFL draft. Now at number 3, we have the Houston Texans. I have them going for Neal, and kind of considering where their franchise is at. Deshaun Watson's gone. You have a lot of different assets to work with. I think they stick here and they go with Neal. Neal's a player that can be a cornerstone franchise tackle for you, standing at 6'7", terrific pass blocker, really good athlete. He's played both sides of that offensive line, left and right tackle, offers a ton of versatility there. The Houston Texans have to improve in a lot of different areas, and you might as well start at a premier position at that left tackle spot. And that's what they're able to do here with all the different assets and another pick later in this video. There's so much that they can do heading forward into the future. Now here's one that we have not seen very often. Travon Walker out of Georgia is the pick for the New York Jets. The New York Jets are going to be getting back a very, very talented player in Carl Lawson, the big free agent prize from last season. I don't think that they're going to be scared to take one here. Travon Walker in the draft community has gained a lot of steam because of how great of an athlete he is and how he projects as an NFL draft prospect. And I think when you look at the New York Jets and Robert Saleh, they have to improve there. And I don't think that they're going to shy away. There's a number of positions that I considered here. I thought about the corner spot. I thought about the safety spot with Kyle Hamilton being available, but Travon Walker seems to be the guy that at the end of the day will be a top 10 pick. I think it's going to be a little more consistent with my mocks and that and thinking so, just considering what I've been hearing. And I want to, obviously provide the latest and greatest information from what I'm hearing in the draft community. So Travon Walker here at number 4. Number 5, we have Ikem Ekwonu, the tackle out of NC State. This is a big time prospect, a guy that will be a anchor along an offensive line, terrific run blocker. The New York Giants are going to continue to get better up front. And I think, with Brian Daboll coming in, they're going to have a new identity. I definitely think that they're going to make sure they're protected up front. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. And Ekwonu kind of fits the profile for them. Now we have Kenny Pickett at number 6 to the Carolina Panthers. Now, I've been pretty consistent with mocking Kenny Pickett here. And the reason is Carolina's got a very, very tight schedule here for Matt Rule. We don't know if this is going to be his last season, but if we see another disastrous year from them, I don't see him surviving to the end of the season. Kenny Pickett is probably the most pro-ready you could consider him of the draft prospects at the QB position. That's why I think they would opt to go with him. I don't know the confidence level they have in their quarterback room. I really don't think it's much. So taking a quarterback here to try to save their jobs probably makes the most sense from management standpoint. And obviously Matt Rule really pushing that and being a voice in the front office during the draft process. Hey, we need a quarterback. It's a premier position. We have to make sure we're covered there. So Kenny Pickett makes too much sense for me here at number 6. And following that up at 7, Jermaine Johnson, high riser in this draft class. Phenomenal career. Especially at ending up at Florida State was a good situation for him. Former JUCO product, really worked his way back to that Division I level and excelled at Florida State. Super dynamic pass rusher, a guy that can get after the quarterback consistently. So the New York Giants in this mock draft, they're opting to take 2 guys in the trenches. Hopefully that can make them long-term very, very viable in those trench spots. So Jermaine Johnson, big get for the New York Giants here at number 7. George Karlaftis had been a popular pick. Now, kind of looking at the latest information, I just see Jermaine Johnson as a better prospect and projects a little higher in terms of, overall upside. Now at number 8, I've been liking this pick for quite some time. Malik Willis out of Liberty. With what he can do with his legs and his arm talent in terms of overall arm strength, I think that you're not going to find a better quarterback in the draft with those 2 tangible things. And Malik Willis is so dynamic. It's going to really remind you of Michael Vick back when he played in Atlanta. I think this is going to be a lot of shades of that. Malik Willis as a runner is terrific. The only reason he ended up at Liberty, he had to transfer out. I think he had started his career at Auburn, ended up transferring to Liberty, but he had a very, very good career. People are going to knock him for his level of competition he played. However, I think he projects well as a project quarterback in this league. It may not be the prettiest in year 1 or 2. However, the long-term upside is most certainly there for Atlanta. Now at number 9, another consistent one I've been liking here, Sam Howell to UNC. I think the quarterbacks are kind of starting to find their places in the mock drafts. I know some people view him a little lower, some have him a little higher, but Sam Howell to Seattle makes a lot of sense to me. I like this for the Seahawks. I don't know their overall belief in Drew Lock, if that's going to be a deterrent from them even taking a quarterback this year. I don't think it necessarily should be. However, Sam Howell seemed like a really good fit here in Seattle. I think he could be a nice, consistent starter for them. Obviously, you're in a very tough and competitive NFC West, so Sam Howell to me makes a lot of sense here at 9. Following that up at 10, we have the New York Jets. I got Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. Slides a little bit in this mock draft, just considering there's a lot of people up and down on him. One of the best safety prospects we've seen of this generation. Rangy safety, box safety, he can do it all. There's so many different ways you can use him as a prospect, but I love Kyle Hamilton. I think the New York Jets are getting an absolute steal if he lasts till 10. Let's not forget when Derwin James fell all the way to the Chargers. I believe is like pick 17 in that one draft where he should have been a lock top 10, ended up not going there and looked like a great move despite the quote, lesser positional value at that safety spot. But Kyle Hamilton to me is phenomenal, guys. I love this pick for them. And at number 11, this is a new route that I'm taking here. Derek Stingley Jr. Out of LSU going to the Washington Commanders. And the Washington Commanders here, that could be a huge get. This defense is already really talented the way it is. Derek Stingley projects as a high upside corner, phenomenal athlete, great man-to-man guy, good ball skills. He's almost a complete package at that corner spot. Not necessarily the greatest tackler in the world. That is fully documented, and I will acknowledge that. But looking at Washington, if they could get him and continue to generate the pressure that they do with especially their front 4, this would be phenomenal for them. Huge get for Washington. And, kind of looking at that next pick, it's a little motivated because the Vikings are sitting right behind them and they take Ahmad Gardner. Ahmad Gardner, with his size, 6'3", 200 pounds, phenomenal man-to-man corner. It's going to fit very well in this Vikings defensive scheme. I think when you look at Minnesota, they are in a good position to really improve this defense. And Ahmad Gardner might fall into their lap potentially. Him or Derek Stingley, I think, will be there for him, considering what the team needs are in front of their selection. So I like that for the Minnesota Vikings. Really good pick. Definitely have to think that this defense is getting better. Patrick Peterson's back. You added in Ahmad Gardner. The rest of the defense is getting healthier. So Ahmad Gardner here at 12 is the pick. At 13, we have the Houston Texans. I have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, to me, is the wide receiver one in this class. I just think he's so talented as a route runner. Really good release, strong. He's got strong hands, really, really good body control as well. Pretty much the total package at wide receiver almost. Obviously, is he a guy that I'm going to trust 100% in the red zone as a 50-50 ball guy? No, probably not, considering he's, I think, only 6 foot. But that doesn't really matter to me because of how talented he is in all other areas. So I love this pick for the Houston Texans. You get Davis Mills, another weapon here. And, this offense would be, starting to look a lot better after these 2 first-round selections. At 14, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I've been taking corner a little more consistently for them. Kaiir Elam is one of those guys that I definitely like here. Just considering, with his size, with his ability to get up in you. I mean, he's 6'2", pretty good press corner. I have some questions a little bit about long speed for him. However, I mean, he's just such a good prospect. I think Baltimore would benefit by having another terrific corner in that room. They were really banged up last year in that department. However, I like him here at 14. At 15, we had the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them going Drake London. Drake London, high volume pass catcher, guy that's got a great frame on him. A lot of people thought he was super, super slow. I think he's a little faster than people give him credit for, but with his ability, he's a pretty good route runner for his size. So I would like that for the Philadelphia Eagles, get a true red zone threat. I think that's really, where they would be lacking in that wide receiver room. No true red zone guy. Arcega-Whiteside was just not that for them, unfortunately. So Drake London potentially could be that. I think he's a lot more talented than Arcega-Whiteside ever was. So Drake London here at 15. And then following that up here at 16, I got Trent McDuffie, a corner that projects very well at the next level. I think when you look at, yes, his size is a little less desirable, kind of that 5'10", 5'11" frame, but he is terrific in coverage, terrific. And I think he's going to be a really tough corner to beat at the next level. He's a better athlete than people give him credit for. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, it's crucial for them to get another corner in that room. They're going to continue to make improvements on that defense, and it should start, for me in that corner room 100%. But also should be looking at linebacker too, as the draft goes on. And now at 17, we have Devin Lloyd going to the Chargers. The Chargers made some big improvements along that defense, especially along the defensive line. So I think Devin Lloyd kind of became the new clear pick, in my opinion, just considering where their roster's at. I thought up the middle was a huge concern, but addressing it in free agency was a big key for them. So Devin Lloyd, that really opens up the door for him. The reason I went with him over Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean's a little undersized at just 6 feet at the linebacker spot. Devin Lloyd's bigger, to me, a little bit stronger. But I love this for the Chargers. I think adding him to this defense would be pretty scary as it currently stands. Now at 18, we have the New Orleans Saints. I have Andrew Booth Jr., the 6-foot corner. He projects well as a boundary guy at the next level. I think when you look at the New Orleans Saints, they're going to want to continue to improve that defense and kind of get that back to form. I felt they were a little bit down last season, but coming back with Andrew Booth Jr., huge get for them. They kind of had their quarterback situation figured out with Jameis as it currently stands. So that was a popular landing spot for quarterbacks, especially guys like Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral here. But that is not the case. Andrew Booth Jr. fits in very, very well with the Saints defense. Now at number 19, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to go offensive line. Interior offensive lineman Kenyon Green is the pick. Kenyon Green, big mover, a guy that can really get to that second level as an offensive lineman is going to be huge for this team. They're already being able to improve this offense drastically as it currently stands. It's funny because they were a playoff team. They have 3 first-round picks. They definitely played their cards right, over the past couple of seasons in terms of, acquiring first-round picks. So I love that for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now at 20, this is a team that desperately needs an offensive lineman. Charles Cross out of Mississippi State, one of the more obvious picks for me in this draft, considering how great of a pass blocker he is, a guy that very well you could consider is undervalued in a lot of people's mock drafts and maybe potentially even my own, but I'm just kind of going off of what I think might happen. I think he's a better player than 20 if you kind of look at a collective big board, but Charles Cross fits in nicely with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's going to be a staple along that offensive line for 10 plus years. And he's one of those mainstay guys. So the Steelers, once again, they're going to be making some improvements along the line. And I don't think that really stops in the draft. So Charles Cross here makes too much sense for me. And then now at 21, we have Nakobe Dean, little more undersized, but with what he brings from an instinctual standpoint on the football field is phenomenal. Has a really good feel for gaps. Terrific tackler, a guy that even at his size, very, very sound. And he's getting better in pass coverage as well. So that's something that we have to kind of monitor. Wasn't asked to sit back in a lot of coverage, but I think he has the ability and the athleticism to really do so. Can definitely mirror tight ends. We've seen stretches of that on his film. And I think at the next level, he'll be an effective cover guy. Now at 22, we have the Green Bay Packers. Chris Olave is an obvious fit for me, in my opinion, considering what he can do at the intermediate and deep routes, a guy that finds a way to get open regardless of the cost. He ran better than a lot of people projected. To me, it's an obvious pick here for the Green Bay Packers, who are going to be focused on wide receivers in this draft. And honestly, I don't think they're done here at 22 by selecting a wideout. There's more to come on this front. Now at 23, we have Tyler Linderbaum, a center with short arms, but he's a smart football player, a guy that you can really trust in pass protection, also really good in the run game. He's an overall a quality offensive lineman. I think when you look at the Arizona Cardinals, you can play him at center, you can play him at guard. There's so much versatility in his game. And if you are them, you're going to want to keep Kyler Murray upright. You don't want him to take a lot of hits throughout the course of a season. So Tyler Linderbaum, to me, is a phenomenal pick. Good value here for the Cards. At 24, we have Trevor Penning from UNI. Dallas Cowboys, La'el Collins out the door. Insert a guy like Trevor Penning, who really started to get some of the national spotlight when you kind of looked at Senior Bowl week. That was a big one for him, throwing guys around quite often. He's got an edge to him. That's something you need along an offensive line, something Dallas can even use a little bit more of. Trevor Penning is a really fun selection here for me at 24. I think it makes too much sense considering what they had to do cap wise of letting La'el walk. And honestly, Trevor Penning is a seamless transition. At 25, we have Treylon Burks out of Arkansas, the 6'3" wide receiver, really good after the catch. You throw him into this Buffalo Bills offense, that's going to be terrifying, in my opinion. Huge upgrade over what they've been, kind of rotating. I think Gabriel Davis is going to be a nice 3 in this offense. Obviously, you have Stephon Diggs, Treylon Burks, Gabriel Davis. That is a terrific trio of wide receivers in this very competitive AFC. You're really putting a lot of pressure on these corners within the conference. And honestly, I think that's what you have to do when it's a passing league and they've already had a very, very nice established passing offense. I think bringing in a guy like Treylon Burks makes a lot of sense to me. Now at 26, this is finally when George Karlaftis goes. I think Tennessee kind of looking from the standpoint of they can have a phenomenal rotation of edge rushers. George Karlaftis getting thrown into the mix is absolutely terrifying. Was once thought to be a potential top 10 pick. He's kind of slidden a little bit because of some of his athletic traits. Do not project as well as people had thought. However, George Karlaftis is a really good pick for the Tennessee Titans, a guy that's going to be tough, exactly what Mike Vrabel's looking for on this defense. And I think that, to me, is a good pick for the Titans. At 27, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Zion Johnson was a pick last week for me. And I think that stays the same, considering where they're at in their guard room. Ali Marpet being gone, you definitely have to make sure you're focused on that interior offensive line. Alex Kapp is obviously gone, but you're able to insert a guy like Shaq Mason and then Zion Johnson, and you're sitting pretty good heading into next season still. If anything, you could potentially, as a whole of those two guards, I think you're actually making an overall improvement. Obviously, Marpet was a stud, but Zion Johnson is better than Alex Kappa, in my opinion. 28, and I double down on it. I go George Pickens to the Green Bay Packers. Now, a lot of people are going to be saying there's no way that they take a wideout here again. I think Green Bay is going to be all in on getting Aaron Rodgers a ton of weapons. George Pickens is an absolute stud. Had he not gotten hurt, I think he very well had a chance of being a top 15 selection when it was all said and done. But obviously the injury changed the course of his career. And he still might be able to find himself as a first round pick, which is phenomenal for Green Bay. Get a true red zone guy. I love these wide receiver picks for the Packers. At 29 now, Daxton Hill enters the equation. The versatile slot corner dash safety. I think kind of Minka Fitzpatrick and his usage, during his time at Alabama. I think that's kind of what you're looking at here with Daxton Hill. So much versatility, a guy that can do a lot for you. And honestly, I think this is a phenomenal pick. This is a nice way to replace what you're missing with Tyrann Mathieu. So Daxton Hill here at 29. At 30, Sky Moore is the pick. I don't think they're done at wide receiver. So Sky Moore, a guy that's been really, really rising up people's boards. And I love this for them. I truly do. I think this is going to be one of the more underrated prospects in the entire class, but Sky Moore is getting some first round love. Kansas City is not going to be done. They're not going to be satisfied with what they currently have in that wide receiver room. Now at 31, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I have Kyler Gordon going from Washington. Once again, projects as a pretty good corner at the next level. I think when you look at where Cincinnati's at, yes, they brought back Eli Apple, but I think there is some questions, especially in this very, very tough and competitive AFC. Where do they stand, right? I think they have to go ahead and get a corner. A lot of premier receivers in the AFC and also premier quarterbacks. So I don't think their corner room was necessarily bad last year. I think you can make some improvements. And they took a lot of money and stuck it into that offensive line between Kappa and Lyle Collins. So this really opens up the door to make some improvements along that defense. And then finally at 32, this is a good pick for the Lions because they get Lewis Cine out of Georgia. He's one of those safeties that you can trust one-on-one making a tackle. Once again, adding another element of toughness to this defense is going to be huge. They brought back Tracy Walker. You insert Lewis Cine. I think that's a nice safety tandem heading into next year. Absolutely love this for the Detroit Lions. Lewis Cine's a big impact player, a guy that's not getting enough love to me in the mock draft community. So watch his name potentially on day one of going in that first round. I think the Lions are a great landing spot for him. Thanks again, guys, for watching the video. Appreciate all the support. Hit that subscribe button if you are new. Also, leave a like on today's video if you did enjoy the content. Thanks for stopping by, and I can't wait to see you guys in our next video.